Hey everybody, it's me, Deb, from Deb for Peace. Anyways, um, as you may already know, I've been in the works of launching my vlog on YouTube at Deb for Peace 247, and this is my first video. I decided that my first video will be a special episode. It's going to be on my reflections about living a decade in Utah, my personal experience. If you know me, if you're my friends, my family, or part of my community, you know that I do not hesitate to speak about mental health issues and trauma and living with metastatic breast cancer and going through domestic violence, fighting for custody, all kinds of stuff. I feel like I've been through it all, a lot of it. But I don't want the legacy that I leave for my children, for my friends, for my family, to be just wrought with trauma. I do, however, want to share pieces of my healing journey. On Monday, 12/12, it was the 10-year anniversary of me leaving Southern California. I'm a California girl, born and raised, to come to Salt Lake City. And I've been reflecting on it a lot. If you've been following my mental health journey, you know that I've been doing therapy and using the concept of writing a trauma table of contents and breaking down things and working through it in therapy. And this week, when I went to therapy, I decided to detour off my trauma table of contents and I decided to read some thoughts I had written about a decade in Utah. And my therapist thought that I should share it. And I thought it was too long for a post, so why not make a video about it? But first, a little bit of background. Before I moved to Utah, I was involved in environmental activism. I was involved in pro-union activism and kind of just doing those things. I would put my energy into that type of activism. And I was living with family. I had just graduated from school to become a certified interpreter and translator. And I had been feeling disillusioned. There had been endings and beginnings, and things weren't kind of going the way that I was hoping for things to go. And my best friend at the time, she decided to move to Salt Lake City, Utah. And I didn't know very much about Utah. I had been there like once with another friend on an adventure, and that's a whole nother story. But I was feeling stuck prior to coming to Utah, and so that was kind of the catalyst. My mom had passed away. I was coming up on 1 year of her being gone, and I wanted a new adventure, and I definitely got that. So I'm going to share now what I wrote. And it might be a little bit all over the place, but if you know me, you know that's just kind of how it goes. It's a mixed bag. Start off with a little bit of an emotional touch. Remember, this was for therapy, but I feel like it's part of my healing process to also share with those that have kind of been watching all these years, before Utah, after Utah, in between. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of carrying all this pain in my body, this emotional pain, this deep grief that I can't seem to let go. I thank you, pain, for what you have taught me about human nature and cruelty and the love of people. I thank you for the lessons. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. There was just too much going on, and somehow I'm still here, and I don't know how. It must be the creator, the universe, or something bigger than me, than all of us. I do believe in angels and ancestors and sacred ones. I do feel watched over. I do feel loved. Sometimes, though, I still feel alone. Images are constantly flashing in my mind of times long forgotten. The tears won't stop flowing. I taste them, the saltiness. And I just want to just be who I'm meant to be, who I already am. Remove the layers of trauma and allow myself to shine. Shine that light for myself and for others, the whole world around me. I just want to set it all down. The flashbacks. Oh, I'm always thankful for those snippets, those reminders, decades of loneliness, depression, Deb's search for meaning. Yet at the end of the day, the loneliness of just Deb is familiar and comforting, and I want to tap back into that. I don't want to feel like I wasted time with so much sadness and despair. I want to set it down so I can enjoy the now. I want to set it down, and I'm doing that piece by piece, block by block. I am healing. I feel like I've spent the last 10 years with this leech attached to me. It keeps coming back to haunt me with its false narratives about who I am. 10 years of this, a decade-long tug of war, and I know that I've been winning after all the blood, sweat, and tears, quite literally. I have been getting what I've been fighting for, but I'm still holding on to that rope, always ready, forever exhausted. So much pain in exchange for all the love I put out. But about 5 years in, I started receiving love. I started having happy moments. I had community. I had friends who I now call family. And it's been a strange ride. Beginnings and endings, several chapters, and somehow I'm still here. I did it. I'd like to think I found myself in Utah. I was forced to. I connected with myself and all these parts of me that I tucked away. They blossomed here. I learned to fight back, to raise my voice, to use my voice. I've educated myself and somehow found healing practices in the midst of ongoing trauma. I've met beautiful people here. So many who have suffered as well. In this weird church state, because the state is weird. There's like no division between church and state. It was just kind of a mind-blowing experience when I first got here. A big culture shock from Southern California. I used to joke around, I never seen so many white people. And that's true and still stands. But it's definitely been a journey. I've experienced the beauty of this state. The red rocks suck me in, and rides through the canyon were like pressing the pause button on those noisy downtown days and nights. I sure do love downtown Salt Lake City. Every person that crossed my path in some way has left an indelible mark on me. After decades of searching, I found community. I found acceptance. I found love. I grew a life inside of me, Estelar's first home, and my soul returned to its other half. So many challenges and so many beautiful moments too. It wasn't just bad love and abuse and domestic violence and courts and police and fear. It was putting myself out there and living the life I want. Connections, doing the things that felt good to my soul. I'm no longer timid, I'm no longer scared, and I'm rather uncensored now. I'm not who I was 10 years ago. 10 years ago was my last week of living in California, and I was so excited for a new adventure. I was just itching for something new. I felt hopeful, and interestingly enough, I still do. Even with all the pain and sorrow and illness, like cancer, I still feel hopeful. There is still fear lingering, of course. I don't think that'll ever go away. I thought I was in love as I left California and embarked on this journey to Utah, a place I had once visited on a wild adventure with my friend. These beautiful canyons, oh, I would get lost in looking at them out the window when we'd drive by. When I landed here, I was excited to be with my best friend and also with the person who I would soon refer to as the abuser. I found out what love wasn't, and then I found out what love is, and all the types of love in between that we can experience in our lives. I set out for a new adventure, and I got that. Over the last decade, I did more than I ever thought possible. I looked fear in the eye several times, and then I showed the world who the fuck I really am. That renewed sense of self, the unpacking of the past and healing little by little, watching the poison leave my body, while quite literally experiencing toxins entering my body to help me live. Here I am, so much learning over the past 10 years. 10 years of pain, 10 years of healing, and more pain and more living, love, friendship, community. All of it is and has serving a purpose. I've proven so much to myself and others when I didn't have to. I kept going. I'm still going. And I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Too many times, more than I can count, I have fallen on my face, on my knees, shaken by tears and this immense grief weighing on me. I tell myself, Deb, it's time to put it all down. It's always been too much. I've always been too much. But it turns out I didn't need to carry all that weight. I didn't need to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders. I just needed to be. Yes, I am a bit apprehensive, a bit fearful of things that are still going on. And sometimes it feels like justice is being served, and sometimes I'm indifferent because I'm exhausted. And those of you who know the struggle I've gone through with domestic violence and courts and custody, you know what I'm referring to. I'm so exhausted, I'm just plain over it. So it's time to put down that rope. I don't want to play anymore. No more tug of war with others or with myself. I just want to keep embracing the now and whatever comes next. New adventures, new chapters, hope. The abuser threatened to put out my flame, just like all the other terrible shit that happened in my life. So many times my shine was dwindled down to just a tiny spark, a flicker, but even then it was enough to keep me going. I never stopped fighting to live, even in the moments when I most wanted to die. I'm more than resilient. I'm so much more than decades of trauma, grief, fear, loss. I'm so much more. Without all that, how could I have truly experienced the depths of love? My heart has been filled and refilled. Physical wounds have healed. My heart is healing, and I'm training my mind now. Gotta love DBT. I'm training my mind now on how to handle the everyday without the same harmful tactics. I'm healing. I'm learning. I'm healing. I'm teaching. I'm healing. In hopes that it may help someone else. This is my legacy. These stories that I leave, they're pieces of me. Those of you who have heard me talk about the invisible hourglass, it's something that I have experienced along my metastatic breast cancer journey. So when I talk about leaving a legacy, it's because I want something put out there for when I'm gone so that my kids can know me, can know what I've been through, can be like, damn, mom went through some shit, but she still stayed hopeful. I hope that I can shed enough light to cast a glow for that next generation. And then there was a little final note I wrote, and I ended it with, I acknowledge that I have gone through painful moments that no one should have to go through. But I am no longer a victim. I am the victor. And I get to set it down now. Lovingly say my goodbyes to shame, to the shame that I carried and didn't need to. I can set it down now. I'm safe and I'm healing. Thanks for listening to a little bit of my thoughts on that. And I think I just want to use these last few minutes that I have to kind of like talk about my timeline a little bit. Like it's been a wild ride. I came to downtown Salt Lake City. I lived in my little apartment that only cost $405 when I first got here 10 years ago. And I had so many adventures. And even though there was painful things that happened there, very abusive things, I took it back. I reclaimed it. That was my home. I came here, Cali girl in SLC, death for peace. And I wouldn't have been able to make it through these like mental health breakdowns I was having, all these things that were happening and going on. And I feel like I definitely became more courageous in my time living here. I'm so thankful for the people that I have met in the activist community. I got very much involved in Salt Lake, especially with fighting against police brutality, with Utah Against Police Brutality. That was an eye-opening, heartbreaking experience, and I'm thankful for it. And I hope that that are still living in that community continue to fight against the violence and continue to support the families who have lost loved ones. That was something that also facilitated my healing, being able to just hold space for other people, being able to yell and scream and demand some accountability from these leaders or so-called leaders and people that said that they're there to protect and serve. But that's another video, another topic. I made a lot of friends. It took some time. I was scared. I found myself as a single mom of a 5-month-old baby, and I wanted adventure, right? The adventures came, and I signed up for therapy because that was something that was new for me, having my insurance cover it. So I thank Utah for allowing me to have a good medical coverage, from being able to see behavioral health specialists and therapists, and then also getting, really good treatment at the Huntsman Cancer Institute. So yeah, it has been an adventure, right? Like I came because I thought I was in love, ended up being an abuser, ended up having to deal with this like covert abuse and then not so covert abuse, and then I was pregnant, and I never thought that was gonna happen, but motherhood completely saved my life. And of course I've dealt with the lows. Those of you that know, I've hit some real low lows. But I escaped the abuse and I got help. And, I did what I had to do. I tried, selling jewelry and doing translations on the side, whatever it took to take care of my baby. And then, of course, once I got comfortable, once life was feeling good, I get diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, and that's been a whole nother challenge, and that's another video or 2 or 3, you know. But I have so much love for my Salt Lake community and those who have moved on as well to other states and other adventures. I know you feel me. And I'm thankful that I allowed myself to have fun too, even in the painful moments, even with the fighting cancer, fighting abusers. I still had fun. I made some great friends, and I found out what friendship really is. And along that journey, I also allowed myself to fall in love again, like real love, you know? Like I got to experience that. And I want to tell those stories too, because if it can happen for me, if I can heal and I can manage my mental health and learn things and not lose hope, then I want to be able to share that because I believe that someone out there needs to hear this. And, don't lose hope. Don't, there's always a way out. Always. Well, thanks for hearing me ramble on. And if you would like to hear more in-depth stories, more about what I'm going to share in my vlog at Dead for Peace 247 on YouTube, come and join the ride. I'll be breaking it all down, video by video, leaving a little piece of me for whoever wants to hear it. Thanks for joining me.